What's up everyone, it's me Alone, I hope you're doing alright. We are back with a second video to talk about all the crazy Xbox and Bethesda FTC leaks that came out in the past day. If you missed my first video on the topic, I'll link it in the description below, but as a quick summary, there was a leak. It related to the FTC trial of Xbox's intended acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and as a result, we saw a bunch of Xbox's and Bethesda's upcoming plans. When it comes to Bethesda in particular, there was a planned release schedule in those leaks, and in there we saw references to titles that we had just never seen before. For instance, Fallout 3 Remastered, Oblivion Remastered, Dishonored 3, apparently a new Doom game, etc, etc. So loads of stuff came out. And since those leaks, since I made my video on the topic, there's been a huge fallout. Lots of questions have been asked about these leaks, like for instance, are they legitimate? If they are legitimate, who's at fault? Was it Microsoft? Was it the courts? Was it the FTC? If Fallout 3 Remastered and Oblivion Remastered, etc. are still being made, would those titles be coming to PlayStation? Because obviously the base titles did, but now that ZeniMax and Bethesda have been acquired by Xbox, a lot of their titles are now being exclusive to Xbox and PC. So that might mean a Fallout 3 Remastered and an Oblivion Remastered might not come to PlayStation consoles. People were looking at the dates of these leaks as well and asking the question, are some of these plans up to date? Have they changed? Have some of these titles been cancelled? So loads of questions being asked, and a lot of these questions obviously aren't going to get answers anytime soon. But there have been some official communications directly from Xbox, also from the courts themselves, about these leaks that help address a lot of these topics. And I think I can provide some information to help you wade through a lot of those unanswered questions. So hopefully you do enjoy this video and it does help. If it does, please like it. I would really appreciate it. Subscribe if you are new. But let's address the big question. Were these leaks actually real? Were they actually legitimate? And unfortunately, for Bethesda and Xbox anyways, it does look like yes. If you were to go to Phil Spencer's Twitter, who is the head of Xbox, he tweeted out the following today. Quote, "We've seen the conversation around old emails and documents. It is hard to see our team's work shared in this way because so much has changed and there's so much to be excited about right now and in the future. We will share the real plans when we are ready." So this is as official confirmation as you can get. Phil Spencer is saying all these leaks are pretty much real. And it does suck. Like, I do want to say as an aside, this does suck to see, a lot of their really exciting upcoming plans leaked in such a manner. Because they are undeniably working hard on a lot of these projects behind the scenes. And being able to keep that surprise factor and announce when you are ready and when the time is right, it's a huge deal. Because now that, Fallout 3 Remastered and Oblivion Remastered, all these other titles are now leaked and people know about them, there's no surprise factor anymore. We will miss that element of surprise when we first see the announcements for these titles. And it does reduce the hype a little bit, undeniably. So I do feel bad for Xbox. I do feel bad for Bethesda. But related to that, we do need to ask the question, well, who was at fault? What was it them? Was it the FTC? Was it the courts? I saw people in my first video saying, I think the FTC should be sued if they're at fault for a lot of these leaks. But it turns out it might actually have been Xbox and Microsoft at fault for these leaks. And the reason why I say that is because the judge responsible for this case in the United States District Court actually came out with an order today clarifying everything. So let me read that to you verbatim. It comes from Jacqueline Scott Corley, the United States District Judge, and she said the following today. Quote, "On September 7, 2023, the court issued an order resolving all remaining sealing issues with respect to the trial exhibits in this matter. The court ordered the parties to meet and confer and provide the court with a secure cloud link to the admitted exhibits with the redaction set forth in the court's orders. Microsoft provided the link on September 14 and the court uploaded the exhibits to the internet page established for this case." And there's a link there. "The parties have notified the court that the version of the exhibit provided contained non-public information and the court has removed the trial exhibits from the internet. The parties shall meet and confer, including with any non-parties, and resubmit the admitted trial exhibits via a secure cloud link by September 22, 2023. The parties shall simultaneously file a written certification signed by all parties and non-parties whose information is contained in the admitted trial exhibits, verifying they have reviewed the exhibits and certify they contain only public information in accordance with the court's orders. It is so ordered," dated September 19, 2023. So what does that mean? Essentially, the court is like, we need these documents. You need to make sure that they contain information that can be uploaded to the public, because this information has to be uploaded to our websites, essentially. And make sure that anything you send to us is not confidential, is not intended just for private usage, right? So Microsoft is like, all right, to this secure cloud link, we're going to upload these documents that you've asked for. And they've provided the wrong file, it seems. They've provided the wrong file, the wrong pieces of information to this secure cloud link that would eventually go public, that it would eventually go live onto their website. So it seems like the judge is saying it was actually Microsoft that was at fault. Not them, not the FTC. It was unfortunately Microsoft. So I still do feel bad, and whoever the person or people responsible for this were, really hope nothing bad happens to them. But it just sucks. And I know how difficult this stuff can be. You have literally thousands, I used to be a lawyer, man, thousands of documents, and some of that stuff has to be redacted, other stuff not redacted. It has to be redacted in the proper way, and PDF issues can happen, and the wrong documents get sent. This stuff happens in court, judgments and trials all the time. But when it comes to such pertinent and confidential information like this, it is undeniably a big deal. So I do feel bad for Microsoft, but it seems like, unfortunately, they were the ones at fault here. So with that being said, let's talk about some of these other questions and unanswered questions that we want to maybe get some answers on, but we won't anytime soon. But anyways, number 3, the question of exclusivity. If Fallout 3 Remastered, if Oblivion Remastered in particular, are actually still being made, will they be coming to PlayStation consoles? We saw Oblivion, we saw Fallout 3 on PlayStation consoles. After the acquisition, will they still be coming to PlayStation consoles like the PlayStation 5 and beyond? So, we've had a couple of statements from Xbox and Bethesda on the question of exclusivity when it comes to a lot of their other games. Recently, Phil Spencer came out and said, we look at this stuff on a case-by-case basis, on a game-by-game basis. He was nonchalant about it, didn't give specifics to any game in particular, but just said, when a game comes out, we make the decision for that game, all right? However, another document came out as part of the FTC and Microsoft trial, and it seems like, at least when it comes to Elder Scrolls 6, that at some stage, and plans might have changed, but at some stage, the decision was made for Elder Scrolls 6 that title would be exclusive to Xbox and, of course, PC. So you can see this chart on the screen right now. And when it comes to the platforms available for the Elder Scrolls 6, you can see only Xbox and PC mentioned there. And even when it comes to, for instance, the Indiana Jones game that Bethesda is working on, Pete Hines was questioned as a result of this FTC trial, and as part of that trial, he had to reveal that they had a contract with Disney for this Indiana Jones game, and the deal had to be amended because of the acquisition, and the deal was amended to ensure that the game was just going to be coming to Xbox consoles and not PlayStation. So when you see a lot of that stuff, right? A lot of that stuff, and all the comments about exclusivity. I know there's a question, some of that stuff was not intended for public use, and what Phil Spencer actually said publicly is very different, and plans might change. But from what I can see, at least when it comes to like Dishonored 3 and potentially a new Doom game, yeah, I would guess those are absolutely just coming to Xbox and PC and wouldn't be coming to PlayStation. But on the Fallout 3 Remastered and the Oblivion Remastered question, I think it's a little more up in the air, because we've seen comments as well from Xbox and Bethesda about wanting to support existing titles that still remain on PlayStation consoles. For instance, Fallout 76 got every single update to that game on PlayStation and on Xbox and on PC across the board, right? So that title was still supported in full after the acquisition on PlayStation 2. So there are examples like that where they're still supporting existing IP and existing titles. So maybe you might get lucky, PlayStation players, that you might see Fallout 3 Remastered and Oblivion Remastered, if they're still being made, come to your console, because the base games were on your consoles at some stage, right? But I don't know. Like, after this acquisition, and I know they're under the microscope when it comes to Activision Blizzard, but I think the chances are they're probably going to be exclusive if they're being made, but you have a slight chance. You have like, I don't know, a 10% chance maybe they'll come to your console, so they'll come to PlayStation, if Xbox and Bethesda deem that it's necessary to make a little bit more money. We'll see. I don't know. I just hope you get the opportunity to play it. But let's talk about question number 4. Have these plans changed? Are any of these titles actually cancelled? So these leaks are based on information and plans that were devised years ago, right? Years and years ago. So I think it was like a 3-year-old document, 3-4-year-old document, something like that. That was, it was like predicting their future plans and their upcoming stuff. That's why we saw in the planned release schedule for Bethesda references to Starfield coming out in from memory, it was like 2021. And obviously that didn't happen. Same with Redfall. Those games didn't come out then, they came out this year. So those plans absolutely changed. So when it comes to literally everything else in those plans, Fallout 3 Remaster, Oblivion Remaster, etc., you have to assume that those are also subject to change as well. And not just change, and not just delays. We might still see those titles come out, but more, in the next 2, 3, 4 years. But also they might have pulled the pin. They might have said, you know what? We're not going to do a Fallout 3 Remaster anymore. It doesn't make sense. They might say that, well, look how successful Starfield is. We think it's more important to dedicate resources to something like Starfield 2 if they want to do a sequel for Starfield 2. Stuff can change, unfortunately, especially when you're looking at plans that are like multiple years old at this stage. So yeah, there is every chance. There is every chance that we might not get a Fallout 3 Remastered anymore. And related to that too, when it comes to the Oblivion Remaster, number 5, how does this relate to Sky Oblivion? So Sky Oblivion, as you know, is a fan-essential remake of Oblivion in the Skyrim engine. It's been promoted for years. Bethesda absolutely are aware of it. Maybe they've changed their tune on remastering Oblivion because they want the community to have their Sky Oblivion. Does it make sense for them to still remake or remaster Oblivion if the community is making their own fully fledged remake in the Skyrim engine that they've poured their blood and heart and soul into and everyone's looking forward to? That might make them look bad as a publisher and as a developer. So there is every chance that some of these titles have been cancelled and that plans have changed. We're just going to have to wait and see. I just hope they haven't. I just hope that Fallout 3 Remastered is still happening. And yeah, I mentioned in my last video, we still don't know how the Fallout 3, next-gen version is figuring into this at all, because Fallout 4 Next Gen wasn't part of these plans, and we saw that it was announced last year, intended to come out this year. So maybe they were like, you know what, we're doing this for Fallout 4, we're not going to do Fallout 3 Remastered anymore. Lots of stuff up in the air, guys. Unfortunately, we're not going to get answers on this anytime soon. But all I will say is that, yeah, some of this stuff might not be up to date anymore, and that's unfortunate. But let's talk about the last question. I've thrown this one in there. When it comes to Fallout 3 Remastered, I know a lot of people have been screaming about Fallout New Vegas being remastered. Where is Fallout New Vegas Remastered? Why isn't it mentioned or listed in these potential, upcoming games for Bethesda? And this is what I'm going to say on the topic. I would love, love, love to see Fallout New Vegas Remastered. I absolutely adore that game. But you have to have Fallout 3 Remastered come out first. It makes zero sense for Bethesda, and specifically Bethesda Game Studios, to say, well, we're going to release Fallout New Vegas Remastered before Fallout 3 Remastered, or even that we're going to do them at the same time, because it takes resources, it takes people and time and money to work on stuff like this. You think they're going to be working on both simultaneously? Doesn't make any sense at all. If we're going to get New Vegas Remastered, Fallout 3 Remastered has to happen first, unfortunately. And I think if you are looking forward to a New Vegas Remaster and you want one to happen, you want this Fallout 3 Remaster to be successful. Because if it's not successful, if it flops and no one plays it, there is no way in hell you're getting a New Vegas Remastered, because they're not going to risk it. They're not going to risk the money on it and the time that it takes to make something like this. So Fallout 3 Remastered should come first. And if it's a success, then yeah, you'd probably see a New Vegas Remaster after that. But it just can't happen at the same time. And definitely you can't see New Vegas coming first if Bethesda is behind the decision on this. So those are my thoughts. Those are a lot of clarifications that I had for you on these leaks. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And until next time, this has been Lone. Please take care of yourselves, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.